What's good everyone, OJ here, and welcome to my Nintendo Switch Black Friday and Holiday Sales Shopping Guide. Today we're taking a look at a number of games that will be on sale on the Nintendo Switch eShop when it comes to big Nintendo first-party games and also RPGs that I recommend, and some action games sprinkled in there as well. Now this is mainly the Nintendo Switch eShop, but I have two deals for you guys to check out physical if you want. And remember guys, a lot of these deals can also be found physical on Amazon or so make sure you check different retailers, GameStop, Best Buy. A lot of these games are on sale physical too, but for the sake of this video, we will be going over eShop sales. However, I want to go over two games that are physical that are on sale right now that recently launched on Nintendo Switch that are very good, and that is Sonic Frontiers. You can get this game from anywhere from $29 to $35. So just check around physical, Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, different places might have a sale on it. And also Persona 5 Royal on the Nintendo Switch, anywhere from $29 to $40 or so. And it's also $44 right now on the Nintendo Switch eShop on sale, so look out for that. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into the best sales and deals holiday guides. I mean, this is going to be spectacular. So let's go ahead and start off with Valkyrie Chronicles plus Valkyrie Chronicles 4. Now there is a bundle going down right now if you want both games. If you want just Valkyrie Chronicles, the original game, it's $5.99. If you want just Valkyrie Chronicles 4, it's $14.99. So it makes sense just to buy the bundle for $13.99. Now these games are fantastic strategy RPGs. I've talked about them quite a bit. So if you want a great strategy RPG with a really unique and fun battle system and a great story as well with unique visuals, make sure you check out Valkyrie Chronicles and Valkyrie Chronicles 4 bundle. Now next up is Shin Megami Tensei 5 Digital Deluxe Edition. Now this game is $42.49 and it is a fantastic turn-based RPG. The deluxe bundle in there will get you some extra scenarios with some demons and a bit more when it comes to being able to level up faster and everything. I highly recommend this RPG, one of the best turn-based RPGs on the Nintendo Switch, hands down. Has fantastic graphics, incredible music, really kind of cutthroat gameplay if you're looking for a challenge, but there is also a safety mode and easy modes for those players as well. And if you really get into it when it comes to doing all of the content in the game, you're gonna get a pretty rewarding gameplay and story experience. So highly recommend Shin Megami Tensei 5 on the Nintendo Switch. Now next up is Persona 5 Strikers, $23.99. This is a fantastic action RPG with a touch of Musou in there as well, and I really like it because it is a continuation of the Persona 5 base game. So if you've already played Persona 5, you're definitely going to want to check out Persona 5 Strikers for some fantastic action RPG gameplay, some really cool story parts, great voice acting, cool graphics. The only bummer is that it is 30 frames per second on the Nintendo Switch compared to the 60 frames per second on PlayStation, but it is still a great game and really fun to play portable as well. It holds up really well with the gameplay. Now next up is Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch on the Nintendo Switch. This is $9.99 and it is a fantastic, unique RPG blend of a little bit of Pokemon, a little bit of any other action RPG that you've played, and a little bit of pizzazz with the Studio Ghibli art style. It's fantastic, and it's a really good price here. I highly recommend it. Now, the Nintendo Switch version isn't quite as smooth as the PlayStation 4 version, as a lot of the different cross-platform games are, but this game is still really good to play portable, and the music holds up, the graphics hold up, everything still looks really crisp and good on the Nintendo Switch. Now, next up is Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin for $19.79, and this is a phenomenal Pokemon / Monster Hunter game. It's turn-based, but what it does is that it tries to kind of put on the Pokemon gameplay where you're raising different monsters. You have a collection on your team. You can actually birth them and give them special attributes. It very much is like Pokemon, and it's very good in its own right, but it's its own RPG as well. It's got a huge world to explore, fantastic graphics on the RE engine, and also just a great story overall. I really fell in love with the characters and the gameplay. Everything just kind of mashes together for a phenomenal experience, and especially at that price, you can't really go wrong. Now, next up, speaking of Monster Hunter, is Monster Hunter Rise plus Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Now, let's go ahead and break this down because the base base Monster Hunter Rise is $19.99 if you just want that. If you want the massive expansion, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak by itself, it's $29.99. However, I recommend if you want to get into Monster Hunter, just get the bundle for $39.89. These are some of the best games on the Nintendo Switch, best action RPGs, and honestly, out of third-party games, it's one of the best looking games. Heck, you can even include Nintendo's first party in there. You're not going to find many games that are as impressive technically than Monster Hunter Rise. It looks great, it runs great, it sounds great, and it is a phenomenal game that you can play all throughout the fall and winter and just have plenty of content to go back into. It was one of the first games, if not the first game, to use the new NPLN system, so the online play is very smooth. So if you want to get into that, there is that as well. Now, next up is Indivisible on the Nintendo Switch. I've been raving about this indie game for quite some time. $7.49. This is a spiritual gameplay successor to the Valkyrie profile series, where you assign a different character on each face button, and then you try to do different combos and moves as it moves on an ATB gauge, where it's timed when the next attack can come. It's phenomenal. It's such a fun game. It's got some great platforming parts in there. It's got a decent story and really cool hand-drawn visuals. Indivisible is a game that you can pick up and just start playing and enjoy it. Has great replay value, a lot of different characters to collect, and a really fun soundtrack as well. So I highly recommend Indivisible on the Nintendo Switch. Next up, we've got some Devil May Cry action going at you with Devil May Cry and also Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition. Now, these are $9.99 each, and I highly recommend it if you're into Bayonetta, if you're into those type of action games, old school God of War. Check out Devil May Cry if you haven't already done so, or if you've played it before and you just didn't pick it up before, or if you know about it. Highly recommend these games. These games are fantastic. And yes, they're a bit primitive compared to Bayonetta or compared to the newest God of War games or some of the big games that are coming out now. But if you want to go back and see the roots of where the action, the stylish action started from with Hideki Kamiya, you're definitely going to want to check out the original Devil May Cry and Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition, especially Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition. That game is phenomenal. It's got so many cool innovations in gameplay over the first two games, so I highly recommend those, especially if you're into Bayonetta, and like I said, if you're into action games, Ninja Gaiden, you're going to want to check out Devil May Cry and also Devil May Cry 3. You can skip 2 and just watch the story synopsis on YouTube. Now, next up is No More Heroes 3. This game is $29.99, and it's a bit jank. I definitely admit that it's a bit jank on the Nintendo Switch version, PS5 and Xbox a bit smoother, but the game is still absolutely bonkers. It's a crazy game that's got a lot of fun gameplay in there. It's got a lot of ideas. It's got a lot of things just thrown in there that didn't really need to be, but at the end of the day, when you finish playing the game, you're thinking, wow, that was an experience that I've never played anywhere else. I love the beam katana. I really love the story setup. I love how crazy Travis is. I love so many things about this game. It's not perfect by any means, but for $29.99, you're definitely going to get a crazy experience that you will remember until the next No More Heroes game comes out, and that might be a decade from now. Next up is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, $41.99. This one's a little bit older now, getting 3+ years, but it's still a good one. If you love the old school beat 'em ups, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, you're gonna like this game right here. I love the multiplayer and family couch co-op. This is a game that you can pick up right away, put it in your Nintendo Switch, start playing with the family, 4-player co-op. You can do it online or offline. It's got a bunch of characters. It's a very fun game, and it's just a cool beat 'em up, plenty of different difficulty levels, so much variety within the characters, really cool leveling system, a bunch of extra content as well when it comes to replay value or side content, side missions. Fantastic. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order. Definitely check that one out. Now, next up is probably my favorite game on this whole list. I think that it's the most underrated game on the Switch, and that is Astral Chain, $41.99. This game is very hard to find physically everywhere, so digital might be your only option for this. And this is, to me, one of the best action RPGs ever created, hands down. And the reason why it's so good is because of the combo ability and the gameplay. That is the meat and potatoes of this game. There is such a variety of different things that you can do between yourself and the Legion. Your Legion fights automatically, but you can control the movement and you can also control certain special attacks that come out. You can unchain them where you have yourself, another Legion unchained attacking, and then another Legion that you just brought out all comboing at the same time. You can level up each Legion, you can take care of them, you can do a bunch of side content and extra missions. There's no DLC in this game because it's all packed into the experience. And while the story isn't the greatest out there, it's still a phenomenal game with a very fun and energetic cast and crew, and you're going to be playing this game for quite some time. There is a lot of content in there. It's a lot of fun. It has multiple difficulty modes. It has tons of replay value. This is the action RPG that you've been waiting for if you have not played it yet. Highly recommend Astral Chain. If there was one game to recommend on this whole thing, it would definitely be this game right here if you haven't got it yet. Now, next up is Castlevania Advanced Collection for $11.99. I played this game, I think back when I was on vacation in Nigeria a year or so ago, and I absolutely loved it. Now, the second game in the series is not so good, but the first game and the third game are absolutely fantastic in this collection. I really, really love what they did with it. It's a portable, cool RPG, Castlevania, Metroidvania experience that you know and love, and you get 3 of the games here, and it's just one of those titles that every time that I booted up to play it, I just smiled with the different type of variety and what it does in the game. And honestly, it's some old school flavor with the modern stuff built in. It has the pause, it has the rewind, it has a bunch of extra art and everything. So if you haven't played these Castlevania games, these are some of the best Castlevania games ever made, some of the best GBA games, and I highly recommend it on the Nintendo Switch for that portable play as well. Next up is Bravely Default 2 for $41.99, and this is one of those AA style of massive RPGs. It's essentially old school Final Fantasy as a new IP, and I highly recommend it to anybody who loves the old school big RPGs. Kind of reminds you of the yesteryear with a very unique art style as well. You've got super bosses, you've got mid bosses, you've got kind of bosses, you've got huge towns, you've got a bunch of secrets, you got tons of jobs to switch into. This game is just packed full of great content and phenomenal music. Revo, he does a great job, so I highly recommend it for anybody looking for a phenomenal AA RPG that brings the content and goods. Next up is Luigi's Mansion 3 plus the multiplayer pack set. So if you want it all in a bundle, it's $48.98. If you want just the game itself, Luigi's Mansion 3, $41.99. If you want just the DLC multiplayer pack, it's $6.99. All of that is on sale. This is by far Nintendo's maybe most technically impressive game from just a visual standpoint, because the game still to this point, it holds up extremely well. The lighting is fantastic. The puzzles can be very fun. I think that the action and the ghost slamming and the poltergust and the upgrades and what you do, the level design, it's all great, and it's a lot longer than you would expect. I think I spent about 20 hours in this game, and that doesn't even include the online multiplayer and offline multiplayer. The multiplayer pack will even get you extra content in there, but if you want a family game to play right there, local multiplayer, you've got that, which is separate from the online co-op that's there as well. So it was a pretty in-depth game for Luigi's Mansion. You wouldn't completely expect that from that type of game, but it's all there. It's by far the most feature-packed and content-heavy Luigi's Mansion game ever made, and it's easily one of the best ones, so I have to recommend it, especially at that price for $48.98 or $41.99 for just the base game. Next up is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot plus a new Power Awakened set. This is $29.99, and for all of my Dragon Ball Z fans out there, if you ever wanted some portable Dragon Ball Z RPG goodness, this is the game to play. I think that the tilt on this game is a lot higher than the Metacritic on this game. Yes, it doesn't run the best on the Nintendo Switch compared to the other platforms, but for this being an open world RPG, it actually runs solid solidly on the Nintendo Switch. You get a bunch of the DLC content and extra content, and playing this game portable as an RPG is just fun because there's a lot of grindy and certain type of stuff that you can do if you're trying to do all of the side quests, especially with that new Power Awakens set. So I actually recommend it for those. If you're into Dragon Ball Z and you're into RPGs, you're probably gonna like this game a lot more than what other people liked it. That's why I say the tilt is really high on this, especially like I said, if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan and if you're a big RPG fan, you're gonna love this game on the Nintendo Switch portable play. It's going to be a lot of fun, so definitely check it out if you can. Next up is another one of my favorite games on the Nintendo Switch, and that is Fire Emblem Three Houses plus the expansion pack. So if you want the bundle all together, it's $59.48. If you want the game by itself, just Three Houses, it's $41.99. If you want just the expansion pack, it's $17.49. One of the highest rated strategy RPGs of all time, one of the best selling strategy RPGs of all time, and easily one of the most content packed, feature heavy, rich strategy games that I have ever played on this single player front. This game is absolutely loaded, and it's got some pretty nice quality of life features in there for those who want to skip some of the teaching stuff and some of the other things. It makes it less intimidating, but if you want the difficulty, it's there as well. You've got 3 separate paths. You've got a couple hard decisions that you have to make in the future. You can recruit characters from any one of the different houses, and the different types of endings that you can get and the story and how it plays out is emotional and easily one of the best I've ever experienced, period. Not just Nintendo Switch, but just overall in gaming. I really love the strategy RPG gameplay, and while the graphics aren't the best in the gameplay more than makes up with it with the type of variety and content in there. So if you're really into strategy RPGs, and if you haven't picked this one up yet, or if you're someone new getting into it or you want to get into it, highly recommend Fire Emblem Three Houses plus the expansion, which gets you a whole nother 4th house. You go underground and you can use those characters from that expansion even into the single player regular Three Houses experience. So it's a full circle type of thing. It'll get you even more content with those extra characters. Cannot recommend this SRPG enough. Next up is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD for $41.99, and it's The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword from the Wii, but just actually playable this time. And no, I'm joking just a little bit here, but it kind of is, because not only have they revamped the controls, they've made it to where you can play with a pro controller, and that is so important because for me, I just couldn't get into the Skyward Sword controls as much. I really didn't feel like moving my hands around all the time for sword swings and all of that. So being able to play with buttons was actually a really big deal for me. And technically, this is the first mainline 3D Zelda game to run at 60 frames per second. So it's in 1080p, it's in 60 frames per second. The music sounds absolutely fantastic on the Nintendo Switch. The game looks so much sharper and clear. It runs great. I highly recommend anybody to check out The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now, there are some annoying puzzles and dungeons and game structure here and there. It's not going to necessarily be for everyone out there, but if you just push past it and you keep going, you're going to find an incredible story of the Master Sword, the origin story of it, and a game that you're really going to remember for years to come. So I highly recommend The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. Last but definitely not least is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury for $41.99, and this is just a joy to play. Once again, we're talking about Black Friday, we're talking about the holidays. That means friends and family, and this is one of the ultimate friends and family games. Now, it was originally on the Wii U, but what they did is that they added in a whole separate campaign called Bowser's Fury, and this opens up the game to where it's a new style. It's kind of like a sandbox style of Mario game, but you get right into the stars. You get right into everything. There is no jumping in, then a startup, and hey, you're doing this. It's like, hey, you go to this area and bam, it just starts right away what you need to do. You finish that, then you go to any other area, and then Bowser comes up for some point and tries to kill you, and then you have to avoid everything that's going on there. So it's a really, really cool mix of what's worked in Mario before when it comes to sandbox, and also more of the linear Mario when it comes down to it, and they just put it together. And also Mario gets super big. Cat Mario gets super big and you can fight Bowser. I mean, what else would you want in a Mario game? So for me, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, if you haven't picked it up yet, or if you want to just play a great multiplayer game offline and also online. And by the way, it actually works. I tested it out. If you got good connections, it works. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is the game for you. Heck, even in Bowser's Fury, you can have somebody play co-op with Bowser Jr. with someone else controlling Mario. So they even got co-op in there for the fam or for your friends or anything. So to me, fantastic game. Gotta recommend it. But these are my picks, guys, when it comes down to the best Nintendo Switch Black Friday eShop sales and deals. There will be more, and there will be more physical sales, and I'll have more content to go over as we get through, but I thought that these were the best 18 to 20 type of games as we fastly approach the holidays and sales and deals going down. So what are your thoughts on this when it comes to everything that I talked about here? What are you planning on picking up? Anything that I missed that you wanted me to talk about next time? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.